Hello. 2 days ago, I woke up with that Gautier song, somebody that I used to know in my head, but with completely different lyrics. I'm still trying to put it all together, and it will come in time, but so far what we've got is, if I can think of how the tune goes, living off grid, the last thing you want to see is the sun hit. Every now and again I think about the weather. How else does it go? It's gone at the moment. This is the trouble. I need to write this all down and then we'll come back to the song. But we need blue skies and sun all day. Back in January, it rained all day. It rained constantly, which is not much good for charging the battery. I need sunshine for the solar power. I need sunshine to make a video. I need solar to charge the radio. You get the general idea anyway. But the purpose of this video is what you can often find yourself is playing the part of, I think it's Atlas, carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. And the spiritual theme is always one of letting go. So let me just talk you through today, which is Wednesday, the 11th of March. So we've started the day with needing to go to Monchique to keep the flow of cat food and food for myself coming in, because it's like we're down to one slice of bread, we've got one tin of beans, we've got some porridge and very little else. I think one or two eggs as well. So it's about taking active steps, which I've done in a previous video to this one, of manifesting requests for tarot card readings and kindness and generosity, and maybe getting a donation. Well, I got all the boxes ticked on that, but when I got to Monchique, all I could draw out was 40 euros, which leaves me about 4 euros and 30 cents in the account, and you can't take out less than 10. So I thought, this is going to be interesting. How are we going to get through this? So I sat there charging up 2 battery packs. And in the mind, I pictured having 50 euros. So after being gifted with 10 euros for cat food by a total stranger who happened to see the signs advertising Varnfried Cat Sanctuary. Because I don't actually ask anybody for money, I just let them read the signs. If they wish to give money, it's entirely up to them. No, not putting pressure on anybody. I can't be doing with this, going up to people and saying, have you got a euro, and guilt tripping them, creating a sort of interference pattern. It's also an admission to self that I haven't got. So it's setting up a negative default in doing it that way. So in the mind, I've not got 40 euros, I'm counting out 50 euros. So anyway, towards about 3 o'clock, I went into the store and I cut down the things. Normally I'd get 3 cartons of milk. I thought, we can get away with 2. We just have to economise a bit, but I do need to get 2 boxes of 12 pouches of cat food and more cat biscuits and tins of sardines and tuna and such like, and a few things obviously for myself. So when I've got to the tills, to the checkout, it's come to 40 euros. I've only got 30, and it's like, oh dear. Right, we'll have to put some things back. So back goes the mushroom, the single mushroom, a couple of little pate sachets of cat food and various other bits. And you're then faced with that awful thing of, this is embarrassing. And this lady, two behind in the queue that was now forming, gave me €5. So that took the pressure off of things. Then when I was loading up the push bike, she'd actually bought a tin of cat food for me as well. I mean, how beautiful is that? You go to the end and you see the outcome you wish for, and you don't consciously try and predict how these things are going to come. What I've done with this is go to the end, which is a Neville Goddard teaching, and you create the future because we are co-creators. So before I even go shopping to get groceries, all I do is picture that I'm back here sitting in sunshine as I am now, enjoying a cup of coffee and being able to look back on the day with that sensation of, I've lifted the weight of the world off my shoulders. And the energy that you put out will comport to that. But it got better than that. While I was sitting there, and Wednesday seemed to be a very quiet day, I use my imagination that somebody would come along that I could have one of those really deep, meaningful conversations with, and that did happen. But better than that, there was a Portuguese man who overheard the conversation, and a little bit later he approached me and said, "You've really made me think. I don't really understand the English language." I said, "Well, your English is far better than my Portuguese." He said, "But you've really given me something to think about here." And what that was to consider my name Juan, consider the name Jose, consider foods like fajitas and jalapenos. Look how they're spelt. All four of those words are spelt with a J, but are pronounced with a H. So now consider this word Jesus. There's your blueprint pattern, as Neville Goddard calls it, the blueprint man. It's a way to be. So it's not Jesus at all. It's He's us. It's that Christ consciousness seed inside us. And it is a Kundalini rising inside oneself. But of course, it's not about just ascending the Jacob's ladder, which is the spine. It is bringing it back to center. Where is the center of a 7 chakra system? It's the heart, isn't it? The heart of the matter. You don't have a soul. You are a soul, an immortal soul that is housed within a physical body to have this physical experience. If I was just a soul and didn't have a material form, and that is the informed being. Just listen very carefully to those words. To be informed, to know who you are, to know what you are. How else could I know whether I liked coffee or not if I didn't have a physical body to pick up the cup? There is so much in the external that is shown to us, this deluge of an overload of overstimulation to keep you in fear, to keep you in fight or flight. And yes, whilst this is a world of death, what you could call hell, even the most beautiful things, just look at nature as a prime example of this. Consider what those trees are really rooted in. Is that not the decayed matter of previous trees that then provide the nutrients for those newer trees to then root into? So it is always a sort of an attempt at immortality through death in this reality. And there are so many that are trying to fix the world, but don't try and fix the world. The world is perfectly good the way it is. It just comes down to perception. But if you're going to live externally and keep looking at all these stories, because how many of you that hear these stories about a conflict here or that has happened there, how many of you can actually verify whether they're even true? Far better to take that approach that you would have on an aircraft. Now there's a key in that, because you are ascending. You are going into the air, and air is connected with spirit. So it's always oxygen mask on self first to be in service of others. So the situation now, Wednesday the 11th of March, is that I have about €3.50 to my name and about €4.30 in the bank. But we don't put the attention into the worry and the negativity. We just have that confidence to know that when it is needed, it will come in the right moment. And that is all down to the frequency, to having that belief in oneself, not a belief in some external saviour. You are your own saviour, because he is us. He's us, not Jesus at all. If you look at the Bible story, whenever this character Jesus is thanked, he doesn't say, "Oh, you're welcome." He rebukes them. And there's one particular passage where this woman touches his garment and says, "You've saved me." And he says, "No, by your faith alone you have saved yourself." And look at that word, faith. What is the central letter within that word? Is it not the I? So find that I internally, your all-seeing eye that is in your gut, and rise it up, and then let it settle in the heart. Then the external world won't look any different, but the subset of people that you come into contact with will definitely change for the better. I've said this many times on video. And as I've said before, I have to put myself through these things, so I'm not talking from a place of it being a concept, but talking to you as an individual to say, here is a way forward, something, that same pattern that you can adopt for yourself. And that pattern is no different from learning to walk. Or did you just take one step and fall over and say, "I'm not doing that again. That hurt"? Or did you pick yourself up and repeat and repeat and repeat until you master the ability to walk, until it becomes second nature? And how many of you even give it a thought now? You just stand up and put one leg in front of the other without any conscious effort. The same pattern is with driving a car. Consider that first driving lesson where you're very conscious of, got to check that the parking brake is on, check my seatbelt is on, checking the mirrors. But you master that skill until it becomes second nature. But also, everything has a scale to it. So this is why there are road traffic accidents, because people are not focused. They are distracted by the radio, by all those glaring lights from the screen that is in front of them. Their mind's somewhere else. To a certain point, you can have a conversation and still drive. But you've also got to walk two worlds. Have that conversation, listen to that music on the radio, but also stay focused and have that awareness when you are on a road, so you don't cause an accident or get involved in an accident, which is an unplanned event. So again, you create a planned event. You don't see yourself having an accident. You see yourself at the end of the journey, and there has been no damage or no harm. So the blueprints are all there. It's whether we have the perception to see them. So this is the testimony for today. I hope that will uplift and inspire you and give you something to consider and weigh up in oneself, and then put these patterns into practice. It's no different from what the system shows. How many of you came into this world knowing the 12 times table, or did you learn it through repetition? Same pattern yet again. The system isn't necessarily all evil. There is a lot to be learned from it. There is a lot being shown with it. The English language is another prime example of that. Most people have this blindness called naivety, not realizing the sheer scale of things. Well, you just replace that naivety with nativity. You tie yourself to the native, the instinctive, using your intuition with empathy and imagination and humour. And what is that nativity that you are creating? Oh, as it tells you in the Bible, it is the birth of the Christ. The story in the Bible is not an external story. It has nothing to do with the outside world, as Neville Goddard explains. You just read it from the perception that it is you playing all the parts. Then it will begin to make sense, rather than seeing it as something that seems to have conflict in it. You remove the conflict. So if we go back to the Old Testament and this Yahweh, this desert demon that says, go out and kill them in my name, what is it then you are killing? It is in the name of the Christ that you are killing all those cells in your body that have been turned negative from those thoughts that are based in worry and fear and doubt, and you replace them with positivity. So with that, I shall end there. We're now up to just over 17 minutes. So finally, after several days of rain and cloud, I'll just show you there. It's blue skies and sunshine. What was wished for, what was created in the imagination, and what has followed by emitting that frequency and getting the very things we wish for, because we are co-creators. So as always, unconditional love to you all.